Hey folks, if you're someone who's gone down the rabbit hole of constantly trying to keep up with all the information in tech, then this video is for you. As a software engineer at Canva with over 4 years of industry experience, I can attest to the fact that the learning never really stops. And sometimes the sheer amount of studying you need to do in this industry can be overwhelming. But with the help of AI, you can significantly speed up that learning process, but that's only if you know how to use AI correctly. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing 8 AI hacks with ChatGPT that I use to learn even the most difficult topics 10 times faster. So grab a coffee, take a seat, and let's talk about AI. So the first hack that I want to talk about is uploading content that would take me too long to read into ChatGPT and then consuming it conversationally. Quite often, I found that learning certain concepts through books and articles can take me quite a bit of time. I'm talking about hours and in some cases even days or weeks. But on different occasions, when I've sat down with my mentors who've taught me similar concepts in those books or articles conversationally, I've been able to absorb this information 10 times faster. And that's mainly because with them, I'm able to openly have a conversation and ask questions back and forth until I feel like I've got a really good understanding of the topic and filled in all of my knowledge gaps, which is something you can't really do when you read books or articles. So with this first hack, I try to mimic this style of learning by uploading long-form content into ChatGPT and then consuming it conversationally by asking it questions back and forth until I feel like I've got a solid understanding of the topic. The second hack that I want to talk about is asking ChatGPT to create learning goals for topics that I'm not too knowledgeable about. The one mistake I've made a lot in the past was setting learning goals that are far too general or intangible. So for example, if I wanted to learn React.js from scratch, a general learning goal would simply be to master React.js. But the problem with this learning goal is that it's pretty vague and it's really difficult to tell when you've actually completed the goal. Instead, setting a specific learning goal like rebuild this website with React.js is something that's far more useful because it's specific and tangible and it's clear when you've achieved the goal. The only problem there is that if I'm someone who has absolutely no knowledge about React, it's going to be very difficult for me to set a specific learning goal. So what I do is give ChatGPT information about the topic that I want to study, as well as information about my background knowledge and what I'm familiar and not familiar with, and ask it to generate a few personalized learning goals for me. The third hack is something that goes hand in hand with the previous one, and it's using ChatGPT to create a personalized study plan. So sometimes when learning a new topic, even if I have a specific learning goal defined, I find it very difficult to know what exactly I need to be doing to achieve that learning goal. And if I don't know what exactly I need to be doing to achieve that learning goal, I'm more likely to go down the rabbit hole of endlessly consuming any content that's related to that topic. So to fix that, I generally ask ChatGPT to come up with a specific study plan based on my experience level and background. And within a few seconds, it generates a study plan tailored for me. Hack number 4 is using ChatGPT to clean up and enrich my notes. So sometimes when studying a new topic, I'll keep my notes app open and take bullet points anytime I come across key information that I think is valuable. But the problem with that is over time, my bullet points become extremely messy and incoherent to the point where if I were to come back to it a few months later, I'd have absolutely no idea what I'd written down. I'll paste it into ChatGPT and ask it to tidy up my notes and transform it into something more useful, like a summary of the topic. I'll also ask it to enrich my notes by adding in code snippets or any other examples that are relevant to that topic. I found this method to be an absolute game changer for me because when I'm studying something, I don't need to be focusing on how well written my notes are or how cohesive they are. I can just jot down bullet points and get ChatGPT to worry about cleaning up the notes later. Once I've got a pretty good understanding of the topic that I'm trying to study, and once I've got maybe a bit of notes written down, the next hack is using ChatGPT to test my knowledge. What I'll normally do is I'll give ChatGPT my notes and some background information about the topic that I'm trying to study and ask it to generate questions, maybe in the style of flashcards, coding challenges, or multiple choice questions to help test my knowledge. And while this might be a very simple thing to do, it's an absolute game changer because it helps you identify knowledge gaps when you're studying a new topic. The sixth hack that I use quite often is asking ChatGPT to explain code to me. So sometimes when learning a new concept like Docker, I found the documentation's code examples to be quite confusing, which eventually leads to a lot of unanswered questions. And in the past, I'd have to dig around Stack Overflow for quite some time to find answers to my questions. But now I generally paste in those code examples into ChatGPT and then ask it to explain certain lines that don't make sense to me. I also sometimes ask it to give me alternate code examples to help clarify any questions that I might have. The seventh hack that I want to talk about is getting ChatGPT to generate boilerplate code for me. So sometimes when working on a new project, I've found that it can take quite a bit of time to set up all the boilerplate code necessary to get your project up and running, which takes away my focus from the main part of the project. So what I normally do is give ChatGPT any background information that I have about the project and ask it specifically to generate boilerplate code for me. And while the generated code quite often has bugs in it, I found that by starting from a ChatGPT generated boilerplate code, I personally find that fixing these bugs and then using that boilerplate code is much quicker than me setting up all the boilerplate code from scratch. The eighth hack is something that I use whenever I need learning resources for a particular topic, and that's asking ChatGPT to create a recommended reading list for me. So for example, let's say I wanted to learn how to build large-scale web applications, but I'm unsure what resources to consume that are tailored to my experience level. What I'd normally do in this scenario is give ChatGPT information about my experience level and ask it to generate a recommended reading list on that topic for me. I can even go a level deeper and ask it to include or exclude certain subtopics, and within a few seconds, ChatGPT is able to generate that reading list for me. Now, while tools like ChatGPT can significantly speed up your learning process, you do still need to spend quite a bit of time learning. But what if I told you that there's a way to train your mind to absorb new information much more quickly, which can drastically cut down the actual amount of time that you spend studying? If that sounds interesting to you, then you might want to check out this video where I talk about how I mastered the art of learning quickly in tech.